Yo, what's up, everyone? Let's get some shares out of this. Just give me 1 sec. Let me grab the link.
Congratulations to all my crypto.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's share this out. We're live sharing thoughts and things. And just so people don't get this wrong, I'm not an XRP maxi. I'm just trading the market. Okay, guys? I just trade the market. There's some things I hold, but mostly I trade. Anyways, let's get on topic here. So quickly, just to highlight the title, I wanted to be a little clickbaity, of course. Don't we all? But I'm just kidding. It's not meant to be clickbait. It's about the amount of attention about something like this interview. It's just phenomenal. It's when you think that XRP can't get any crazier, it continues to. I think a lot of people thought XRP, it was done, it was cooked. It's sending back down and see you later, sayonara. But we can see it's actually like opposite reflexivity to Bitcoin right now. So it is like it's running up with Bitcoin, but it's doing better than Bitcoin at certain times, and doing worse than Bitcoin at other times when Bitcoin's doing better. So I think it's a good asset to be trading in opposition to Bitcoin. So like if you make a trade on Bitcoin and it spikes up, you close it on the spike. Maybe you want to short now after a big spike, and you're kind of concerned with the market being so volatile. So instead you take an XRP long because that one's reflexive and it's going to move next. It was something you couldn't really fully do on Sol or Ethereum. Although Ethereum now as well starting to make signs of life. But again, guys, there's some craziness going on with XRP. And it's part of this altcoin season index. We're in the altcoin season now. Out of ever being up here, it's only up here for so long. The longest it was up here was 2021. And if you look at this spike right here, that's kind of the same place we spiked. So it's tough to say what's going to happen here. But this could stay progressively up here. It stayed from April to June, in altcoin season. So kind of pay attention to that. Could stay there for a while. But yeah, anyways, let's get on to a couple things. Actually, one more thing I wanted to bring up here was Magic Eden eligibility and allocation checker. So yeah, I would check this out because it looks like it's launching at about $2. I didn't get a lot of tokens on many wallets. I just got one wallet, seemed to have like a bit of allocation. But yeah, this one's going to be a big one, I think. We're going to see this one do numbers for sure. 1.8 million views on this, so Obviously, a lot of people watching Magic Eden. So, anyways, let's get into the markets. It's Saturday night here. You know, we're in the weekend, so the markets, the actual stock markets ended, you know, fairly strong last week. I think we talked about it, except for US 30. Looks like that one's down. And the VIX is, you know, down really nicely on the last session. So Friday, you know, down 6% is looking really good for risk assets. This looks very head and shoulders-y. So, you know, sitting underneath this, it's something we haven't seen since pre-2020, actually. You know, going down into these levels is kind of like 17 to 19 areas, right? So something to pay attention to. And then something else we were wanting to see was the rejection at 107, which is looking, you know, pretty nice. Watch out for this 105 bounce to potentially play down lower. You know, in stocks, of course, the kitty came back, and you know, I'm sorry I didn't do a video. I mean, do we even see the candle when the kitty came back? There it is. So if we go right down to the hourly, then we can see it was right around here at some point. Kitty came back. One tweet sent this up to the $30 range from 26. So just to, you know, it's having difficulties breaking out of this cone that it's in. But I think now that the kitty's back, we're going to see Jimmy do some crazy stuff. It might even happen tomorrow, you know, during markets closed. Like, if he comes back and causes some sort of rally, it would be great to see. But of course, on to crypto. As the elephant in the room, we see Bitcoin. Where's our Bitcoin chart? Oh, that's why we're on most recent chart we were using, I think, was this one. But this one also shows, you know, eloquently what we talked about. That, you know, we started, like, out of this structure, we then started to form this wedge. And now we're breaking up out of the wedge. 100K sort of teased a few days in a row. You know, I made some shorts about it. I wasn't here that day. I was had a day off, and you know, I was meaning to take it because it's you know, you can get a little cooked in this market because it's 24/7. So it's good to take some time and rest. But we saw within sort of like 6 hour time frame the push up from 95 to about 102, you know, in the next probably 12 hours. It did manage to push up all the way to about 104.5 on perps. Obviously a bit higher on perps than spot. Spot got up to, you know, 104 on Coinbase, so that's still pretty huge numbers, right? Yeah, we were looking at this on the other chart, but now, you know, structure kind of changes, so you gotta just follow the structure as it changes until it breaks what it's doing, because it's still doing this Livermore cone. You know, I seen that on Twitter recently, the Livermore cone. And let's look at that, because it's a good one to see, because you see it a lot in really bullish markets. Or is it Livingston? Sorry. Livingston cone. Trading. Chart pattern. It is Livermore. It must be. Jesse Livermore, yeah. So right here, there. The accumulation cylinder. Sorry, Livermore cone. God, I'm so bad. That was horrible. So, accumulation cylinder with widening mouth. Right? And then the test before selling short. Right? So this is like Wall Street cheat sheet. The psychology of a market cycle. And this is what you see. This is basically what this is. This is the accumulation cylinder. Right there. So I think that's actually where we are. We hit hope. You know, hope was like Trump election. We spiked through 100, got a little dip. Now we're spiking again through 100, and this is where the real this might have been actually the 105 push, to be honest. So this was like 200, 200, didn't hit 100, and then we push through, get a spike down to 90, and now we set up for this optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria. This is going to happen fairly fast. This is the complacency is about the same length of time as the belief, thrill, euphoria. So things are going to cook, right? And that's why I think we saw stuff like XRP do what it did. Which one are we looking at? Yeah, this one, right? So from like, look at this insanity. From November 5th, we talked about this, right? We looked at this larger trend structure, that it spiked out and then broke out right here and broke out again right here. So from that point, and again, guys, remember, this is just hope. 435% on an altcoin. Partially because of this, right? And we talked about this. Just wait till it gets above, you know, it's going to get crazy. But it was right around here. As it broke out of this trend. If you drew a line here, you would see the trend just broke out right as the Trump presidency, and then a retest and go. So that's why we're seeing it all. It's like, you'd think it's the perfect storm, but it just all happens. Like, it's got its reasons, and it happens for those reasons. And charts don't lie. So this is kind of what we want to see, is push above this $2.76 and then cook after that. We saw this was the big rejection. You know, down 13% in one day. It was right after we called for this move up. That move will still happen. It's delayed now, right? So it's delayed to about here. I think sooner than later. Sooner than later for something like this. But yeah, let's go through them. So BTC, what we're looking for next. You know, we saw that cook. It pushed us up to the 100K like we marked out on the charts. Now we're in the accumulation cylinder. You could look at it tighter, at a tighter range if you kind of ignore the wicks, but I don't like to ignore the wicks. So this isn't how I would draw it personally, but some people are looking at it that way. And I like to look at it this way, including the wicks, leaving for, you know, a larger possible downside retest, but also a higher possible upside rejection before continuation. Although, you know, at some point it's got to break through the top part of this cylinder. So And I think we did that retest here. So chances are we're just off to the races. Kind of like that. Like I said, we're moving for the 110 to 120 to 130 region before a larger potential pullback, and then continue on up. And I think that would kind of end our cone like that, you know? And then it would look something more like this later on. And you'd be like, oh, it was just obvious in hindsight. Obvious in hindsight, right? Kind of ending right around that time. And that has it going down to what? 8,000. I don't think it'll go that low. I don't think it'll go that low. Maybe something like that. There's your dead cat. From 100 to 200. Hurt. That's too low. I don't think it'll go down to the 30s again. And then start all over. Let's leave this because this is like long-term projection. I don't even have a date there. It'd be nice to have a date there, TradingView. But that far, we can just measure it. Oh, that's like 25. That's a year. 26, 27, yeah, bear market, 28, 29. Yeah, it seems fair. Seems fair for the 4-year cycle. We'll see if that continues to play out. With things like, what's it called? The ETFs and all that, you know, Bitcoin reserve currency, stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see if, you know, does it go this high? Does it correct this low? That would be a crazy run, though. And look at how well I timed that, too. April 20th, you know, starts dipping. People front run the sell in May and walk away. But then it just continues. Who knows? But that looks pretty nice, I think. For just a rough projection. You know, again, the height, I'm not sure of. It's more the pattern that we're looking at. And what this is going to look like later. This, the cone. The cylinder cone. The cylinder of accumulation. Seems right. ETH-BTC, like, we're making our way up, making our way downtown. We want to see it overcome this level that we have marked out, and we're right at that level. Reject here, and it wouldn't be so good for Ethereum. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Don't need to go too complicated in something like that. So we talked about a long, boring, drawn-out scenario. That didn't play out. We pumped out of there, and I said correction and then rip, or just rip, and we just ripped. So Ethereum's actually looking really good. Right? Ethereum's in this sort of accumulation cone that's going like just straight upwards, which is pretty crazy, not gonna lie. So this could look really, really insane for something like Ethereum as well, where once it bursts out of there, we see that that sort of stuff play out. Who knows if it happens right away or if it happens later. I'm not going to leave it on ETH because I don't know what's going to happen with this one. As much as I feel like I have more of a grasp on Bitcoin, I don't have as much of a grasp on Ethereum. And there's a lot of factors that could play into Ethereum not doing as good as I anticipate. This one namely, right? So I looked for a bounce here on Sol ETH, but we didn't get it. So Sol has actually been underperforming a little bit. But I think we hit this zone that we're looking for as a support down here. And that's powerful for support right here. So yeah, and then this trend is just vicious. Like the strength of this downtrend is super vicious, that at some point here soon it's bound to break back up. This still hasn't closed, so I think it has a chance to recover and continue before this closes, sort of its mouth right here. And this is similar to Sol BTC, like just grinding this out against this resistance, and soon this resistance is going to burst and turn in support and then just send. So Sol dominance is like perfectly ready to retest at this point, unless it's broken through, right? If it's actually broken through and breaking down, that's not going to look very good for Solana. But I think we could look at that more like this in a way, right? I think we can look at it more like this in a way, or even start shifting our viewpoint to this. As the current potential breakout. But look at the volume coming in on Sol, right? BNB did have a good pump, so Sol BNB is down as well. But it's really that correction against that that resistance that we're seeing up there, and it's still kind of playing out to plan. I think it's sped up, like it went from 150 to 260 much faster than most people anticipated, and that's why it's been taking a bit of a slowdown. But this essentially just moves forward down the road. It's still going to break through here soon enough, and it's going to send into the 300 range. Yeah, so I mean, Sol looks pretty good right here. If we get rid of a few of these drawings just to kind of clean things up, so we can see kind of what's next. But this is sort of same thing, like very sharp correction, but now is cleanly coming out of this. And this mouth, look at how wide it is. It didn't close up at all. You know? From here, from the top to where we're at now, it's actually widened this space, which means that the uptrend is still strongly intact. So this is just a gift. Like everything down here is just pure gift. You should just take that gift and just bid. Max bid. Right? Like max bid these things. It's crazy to see and crazy to think about XRP where it's at. But why would you fade? Like, I gave you this such a good entry. Why would you fade something like this? It's going to give you another amazing entry. There's absolutely no reason to fade something like this. Right? We see this major correction down to the downside. It's rounded out. Remember, we've talked about this rounded sort of pattern before, where we get that movement. And we see, you know, an inverted head and shoulders pattern even in midst of it all. So, yeah, XRP looks great. Is it up like an insane amount? Yes, it is. But does that matter in crypto? Especially when everything's ripping and Bitcoin just passed 100K? I don't think that matters. Like, look at how nice that looks. Just at 100, 0, 0, 0. So many zeros. It's beautiful. Feels like they're keeping it there just to see the zeros. But be careful with leverage. Like, look at this. Right? Look at this leverage liquidation candle. 8% in one candle. 1 hour. But yeah, you know, I moved up ADA and XLM because we were looking at this. We were talking about this. You know, back in sort of later November. And you could have made a nice play out of this. 36%. You could have played a nice play out of this. 30% or so. XLM is looking a little laggier. So maybe you can watch for like a little rotation out of here from XLM. Let's leave that on there and just see. Tron. What the fuck, man? It's like all these Dino scam style coins, they don't care anymore. People are coming back to the markets. They're seeing things pumping. They hear the Bitcoin's at 100K. And they're max bidding this December 2nd. So that was 5 days ago. You could have bid this for 120% pull. And now I think, you know, you're looking at this potentially breaking out any moment for another pull. And this one is in price discovery. So it doesn't have to stop. It can just keep going. And kind of like Sui, we said, you know, above this sort of box range on here, look for a play out. And it's playing out. It was a little lower than we targeted. But this bitch just boosted past 420. You know what I'm saying? Even things like ton, we looked at this, that it's breaking up. AVAX, we looked at this long ago. Right? We looked at this way back here, that it's, you know, it's broken this trend and it's going to try to rotate. And it rotated, went from 22 bucks to 55 bucks. And I think this one's lagging behind a little bit, so we could see maybe kind of a catch-up rotation play on something like Avalanche. We'll take a quick look at total. But yeah, we gave you that. So it was there. We talked about it. The plays we talked about. Right? It did deviate from our plays a little bit, but then it just continued on up. Like we said, once it breaks this area, it's going to continue on up. And it's retested that area that we talked about breaking through. Previous high. Total 2 is looking even uncier. Like this looks, you want to know what this looks like? It looks like this. Right? That's your index for altcoins. It went from 880 billion to 1.6 trillion. Fast. And just like this, oh, look at that. Look at the leg we drew. We drew the leg. We given you the legs, guys. This is actually where we said to caution, so it might be worth a little bit of caution here, even though we're just busting through it. So it's either that there's caution, or we're gonna just bust, and we're gonna go crazier than I anticipated, and we're gonna just project upwards like this. But who knows? We could, you know, correct like I showed. We could go above, then correct. This is just some lines I drew on the chart. It doesn't necessarily have to stay to it. So just pick your favorite alt, start longing it soon. Either after a nice little dip, if we see one, or if we continue pushing through this, this is where my green line was. This is where I was saying, let's go. When did I call alt season? Whoops. I was talking about it in March. That we need alt seasons kind of above here. But then we played sideways, kind of retesting the alt season start. And so the real alt season ended up being right here. In this green box again. To about the May area. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I think yeah, like you got to think XRP plays part of this. If XRP and all these dino coins really push, this is gonna be pointless, the stuff that I drew here, because it's gonna go so absurd. And we talked about Litecoin being our barometer, so to speak, as Kazanomics puts it, the barometer for risk inside of the market. And we talked about kind of breaking out of this double box range, which we had between 90 and 60, and then again between 115 and 42. So these larger sort of trend box ranges to break out, and now we're way out of there. So this is risk on, right? Everything up above 100 Litecoin is risk on, because we see that every time. Like, look at what it does. It just sends, right? It just sends up through this stuff. Just sends. Now we hope that it doesn't do something like this, kind of an interim send. I have heard people talk about, like, this is similar to 2020, which, it doesn't look like it on Litecoin, so. But I mean, it kind of looks like it on Litecoin here. Yeah. Let's see what it did last time. So it went October to November, December to January, took a bit of a correction till February, then it moved again, and then March really moved, and then April really moved into May. It was sell in May and walk away in 2021, and everything got rugged there, right? Everything really rugged there. Really rugged. I remember my net worth went down with Vitalik's tweet about donating, and I was balls deep in dog coins. Meme coins, look at that. Everything's up. I know this guy talked to us about a poo, and it was way back here. And this played out, and it went down. Hella went down. And then it made a huge recovery. And now it's actually at a nice point, I would say, to take a look at a poo. And a poo is that frog that looks like Pepe, but is like a little fatter. And so I think this is a good meme. Turbo. We've talked to you about this one since way back. And it finally played this out eventually. And now we're breaking out of that now too. So this is kind of like one of the first AI. One of the first AI memes, but obviously some other ones are better than it. GME, where do we have some charts? Yeah, so we were totally wrong on that one. But we're coming back now, right? So, and then we've seen this pretty massive candle, I would say. Massive volume across the board on GME, on chain, on exchanges, except for HTX. but most exchanges had a major candle up. You know, I think it was probably from about 32 mil to like 60 mil almost. Probably about 55 mil or something. So we saw some major moves there on GME and Solana. Pepe, of course, making some new highs here. So people are looking to degen on memes. Okay. So, you know, we've seen this larger trend finally break out. Boom, it rocketed. And now we're paying attention to what's happening now. Right? And we seen this, which looks really nice once it pops and breaks out like this. We've got confirmation of a breakout here. You'd have to drill much lower time frame to try to get an entry on this guy now. And it's already moved past there. So I think to see something overcome and not lose this sort of range, but then overcome. If we lose this range, it's, you know, it's really going to dip back down to there and retest down there. So we'll leave that on there for Pepe. Doge as well. Look at this. We're coming up on these recent highs. But we're breaking out of them. And so we're getting this nice wedge pattern here. Breaking out of there. Myro. We marked this down a little early. It's playing out now. This is around where we said we'd see some corrections and a place for possible entry. Pretty spot on. I mean, not far off for these. And talking about sort of green light above there on Myro. And I think as we see, you know, Doge will run up good, and then the risk will go down. It'll go down to, say, whiff, and then bonk. You know, they're both looking really unsy. Looking really nice. Right? Like, looking really nice. Spiked up. Really nice spike up to all-time high there. Doing this really nice rounded bottom to continue up. So look for something like that to the $10 sort of region, maybe. I don't know. Seems like I'm going to take a while to get there, but my drawings might be off. Anyways, guys, I want to leave you with one meme coin that I've been shilling and picked up and is going to do some massive numbers. It's just getting started. This one's the Saga DAO official token. You know, and we look at this as it rotates the 1.1 mil sort of this spike down. I think as we rotate that and see this sort of try to recover and it resisted off there and then just continued bleeding down. This thing just launched and the Saga DAO is huge. And this is their official token that they're going to be pushing and using as an ecosystem token. So, like, I think this is a big one. You know, we're seeing this thing break out again on these lower time frame, lower market cap numbers. We're starting to see the roundness form, you know, like we want to see. It started happening there and then it broke down on it, so then kind of just redrawing it to like that. To see this rotate back up above 1 mil, I think easily pushes this thing into a 10 mil token. So like you know, up into this area, possibly reject back down, and then up to the 10 mil range. You know, retest and then keep moving on up. This is a 100 mil token in my books. Easily, when things are like really rocketing, this is easily going to make it into the 100 million. There's a lot of support. There's a very thriving community for both the Saga and the Seekers, which is the new Solana phone. So yeah, I mean, this is one, again, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Please do your own research. You know, invest the way you want to feel that you're investing something that you're willing to lose. If, you know, if you do lose it, you're not losing your rent payment or something like that. So I think that's all we're going to talk about tonight. My thumbnail is an edited photo. Okay, thanks. Thanks, dog. I do think I know that. So, yeah. All eyes on XRP over the next coming day. This thing is ready to cook. But some people saying buy the rumor, sell the news. So, I mean, watch out for something like that is potential. We would rather not, we'd rather not see it reject at the 270 sort of 6 area. But it's looking very constructive on sort of the lower to mid time frames. And then we look at the mouth again, you know, we look at this is just widening from the peak to where we're at now. It's actually widening. So, and I think it's just getting started potentially for something like XRP. We could see this move up into the $5 range from here quite quickly, alongside Ethereum moving up and all these other things moving up. So thanks again for tuning in. This is really what we want to see again for BTC dominance. Look at hit our marks. Kind of go sideways here for a little while maybe, and then reject some more, so that we can see this alt season really fire off. Anyways, guys, take some profits. You know, do your own research if you're going to be investing in stuff like this. But if you got like a 2, 4, 10x, take some profits off the table so you can buy a dip if it comes, because that's really good, right? You want to DCA into stuff like this. It'll pay out in the long run. So we'll catch you in the next one. And again, as always, thanks for tuning in to Andy's Crypto Talk.